Hello, 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 and welcome to our Leadership Axe show. Today is an awesome day, and we have with us today the Ambassador Zvi Tal from the nation of Israel, and I'm so excited to have you. Our Leadership Axe show. Today is an awesome day, and we have with us today the Ambassador Zvi Tal from the nation of Israel, and I'm so excited to have you. Good afternoon, Ambassador. We're so excited to have you. I believe that today a lot of people are going to be enlightened and informed and educated about Israel's policy in the region. It's just great to have you, Ambassador.
I'm delighted to be with you, Dr. Thomas. It's indeed a great day. If memory serves, last time we met, it was in a larger meeting together with the Minister of Agriculture of the Bahamas. And you know how thankful we are here at the embassy, and Nadav Goen, my deputy, and myself for your invaluable assistance in connecting the dots and facilitating our contacts with the authorities of the Bahamas. So thank you, and again, it's a great pleasure being with you.
The pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. Now, I want to get really straight into the really meat of this interview, and because I want to ask a question that so many people have, and the first thing is, how does Israel see the Caribbean? That's number one, and what can the nation of Israel offer Caribbean states in their quest for economic and social development?
Thank you for that introductory question. And actually, I bear good news. Um, Recently, a strategic decision was taken by the Israeli Foreign Ministry to enhance its relations with the Caribbean nations and also with CARICOM. And actually, we are just on the eve of the creation of a new department at the ministry dedicated to the Caribbean. Up until now, it was part and parcel of another department covering Central America and Mexico. So I think finally my peers and my superiors came to the right conclusion. What we could offer is a cooperation, and actually, as I'm sure you're well aware of, we already started cooperating both with CARICOM and with the Bahamas, because I'm the ambassador accredited to the Bahamas, but both my colleagues in Panama and Santo Domingo, who cover the other states, member states of CARICOM, the other Caribbean states, have also enhanced their contacts, be it in the realm of the current pandemia, and see how we can best exchange experience, best practices, etc. But also in the areas of agriculture, water management, even cybersecurity. So we have a diversified array of areas, of thematics, and we are more than eager to share our experience, our technologies, for the benefit of the Caribbean states and our new enhanced relationship.
Thank you so much for that. And I can testify, having worked with the Israeli government, with the Ministry of Foreign Trade, and with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs since 2017, that there's definitely been a willingness and a desire to add value to the Caribbean. And I'm really excited to hear that desire and that a passion to add value to the Caribbean has evolved into the creation of this particular department that would really focus on Israel's relationships with the region. And I can definitely testify that in so many areas, example agriculture, we have begun to see significant development in the area of agriculture. Like we, along with the Volcani International Partnerships, which were able to train 2,500 farmers from across the Caribbean. I don't believe that has ever happened before. And I believe this is just the beginning of the types of corporations that can be done. Now, can you just really share, because this is one of our first major areas in agriculture, that we can really talk about what Israel can really offer to the region, particularly in the area of agriculture, because there's such a huge need in this area for creating independence where agriculture is concerned. Yeah.
Well, we have a strategic ally in this endeavor, which is Mashal, our Center for International Cooperation
Yes.
on sustainability, with a very large and rich experience in agriculture. And we have now actually a representative of Mashal stationed in Guatemala. So this proximity, this geographical proximity, will definitely also help us in implementing all these initiatives on the ground. And so far, the added value, I think, and I mean, I should perhaps let you be the judge of it, but I think that the added value so far was through online courses. And whenever COVID will permit, we will be more than glad to host delegations of what we call the train the trainers. So not necessarily the end users, but the people who accompany the farmers, who train them, to host such a delegation of the Caribbean countries of CARICOM in Israel. We have the facilities, we have the infrastructure, and again, I'm bearing here the message of the director of Mashal. So whenever it will be possible, in light of the existing restrictions, we will be glad to concretize that.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful. And I'm absolutely convinced that this will add significant value to the region. Another area that I really believe that the region can really receive great assistance from Israel, among those that you have actually mentioned, is in the area of cybersecurity. So this is one area that we are really looking to work with you and aid Caribbean regions, because really where the Caribbean is concerned, the cybersecurity defense ability is very low. Within our police departments, there is, I don't think, very little ability to investigate cyber crimes. The ability is just not existent. Within the region, we don't have CSOCs. Most nations do not have a actual national CSOC, a cybersecurity operational center. And so these are areas that I believe that that Israel can really aid in. So what's your policy and thinking in this particular area of cybersecurity?
Yes. Well, first of all, what we I think this is what we are envisaging actually to do with CARICOM is present the Israeli model.
Yes.
And without entering into politics, because as you know, I'm a civil servant, serving any democratically elected Israeli government. But I need in this respect to give credit to former Prime Minister Netanyahu, who was actually a visionary in that respect. He decided to turn the southern city of Israel, what is called the capital of the Negev, Beersheba, into a integrating center on cybersecurity. You have there the academic platform. It's the Ben Gurion University. You have the military know-how with the specialized units who moved to the south, and you have many leading enterprises, Israeli and foreign, international, who chose to establish their headquarters and their R&D centers in that city of Beersheba. So it's an integrative approach between the governmental sector, between the academia, between in this context also the army and their know-how, and the private sector. So that's basically the model. But then when it comes to institutions, we have an overarching authority which covers both the security-related aspect of cyber, but also the civilian aspects, and coordinate between all the different agencies who deal with cybersecurity in general. So again, this is something that we will be glad to share with you, and then look at the needs of each and every member of CARICOM, each and every Caribbean state, and
Absolutely.
see what solutions we can offer, technological or institutional. So this is what we are looking at right now.
That's very, very good. And we are very excited about working with you in this, because we believe this will make quite a difference to the region where there are countless hacking going on, but it's underreported because law enforcement does not have any capacity to really deal with it. So that's very, very helpful. Now, I actually want to pivot to another area. Um, Many people have perceptions concerning the nation of Israel when it comes to peace with its fellow Arab countries, and there are strong opinions on many sides, and many times with these strong opinions, the truth gets lost. And so I would want to really highlight now some of the amazing work and the amazing breakthroughs that have been made through the Abrahamic Accords that have been made where the nation of Israel is concerned with its Arab neighbors, and what are the plans going forward, because the nation of Israel is a democratic, multilingual, multi-ethnic nation within the Middle East that seeks to have peaceful relationship with its neighbors. But I would want you to really comment on that, on the breakthroughs in that area, because there are some people who tend to who actually need to be informed on really what the facts of the ground are.
Definitely, and thank you for the opportunity, because as you say, sometimes one expects that the basic facts are known by everyone, but unfortunately, sometimes they are being distorted by even by the media. I mean, one
Yes.
who has to be frank about that. So, first of all, with regards to the Abraham Accords, it's a new paradigm. It's a new paradigm because up until now, for historical reasons, and we can elaborate also on the creation of the Arab League, and the probably the only common issue they had along the last decennia, which was Israel, or rather the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's the one issue they could agree on. So up until now, any progress in bilateral relations between Israel and its neighbors, both close and far, was linked to progress in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And now, for the first time, there was a delinking. The countries in the Gulf area, Morocco, and also Sudan, looked at their own interests and decided if it was opportune to move ahead and to establish relations with Israel, notwithstanding the situation in the Israeli-Palestinian framework.
Hmm.
And of course, we are very glad with this new development. Um, Not that we shouldn't resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and I'll say a few words about that. And again, being very frank and open, we all hoped that the Palestinians would seize the opportunity, seeing that there is a renewed process of normalization in the relations between Israel and the Arab and the Muslim world in general, to come back to the negotiating table. And unfortunately, this has not happened. Not only that it has not happened, but the Palestinians seek to antagonize us in the international arena, at the UN, and also in the International Criminal Court. So it's really a shame because and now that Prime Minister Bennett is meeting with President Biden, hopefully this might give an impetus to the Israeli-Palestinian issue, because there is no other way than negotiating face to face. This is what we have done with the Egyptians, and then with the Jordanians, and even with the Palestinians during the good old Oslo days. But over the last years, the Palestinians prefer to, as I said, to highlight the conflict within the UN arena, and this won't lead us anywhere. So we need to come back to the negotiating table and see how we can both advance in this long-lasting conflict.
Okay, thank you so much for saying that and bringing understanding, because what you said is very critical, that many times gets lost, as you said, sometimes by the media, either through ignorance or intentionally, but it gets lost because what you said is very major, and I want to highlight it. In the past, um, there are many Arab nations would view the relationship with Israel through the lens of whatever dynamic was happening between Israel and the Palestinians. But
Exactly.
what has happened now is that there are other nations, as you mentioned, Sudan, Morocco, the UAE, that now have decided we are not going to base our strategic relationships with Israel based on Israel's relationship and dynamic with a particular group of people, that we are going to form our own relationships and have our own experience. And I think this is very, very important, because what I believe tends to happen is that people buy into a narrative and develop secondary offenses that are not really based on actual fact. And so I think it's very important that you actually highlighted that. Okay, thank you. Now, as we look forward to what we can expect um, from your your office and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trades dealing with the Caribbean nations, what can we expect? Now, I do know that I would love to let all our listeners know that we'll be having a special event, actually with the ambassador, for all evangelical leaders across the Caribbean that have been such great friends of Israel, and we're going to be having a actual private meeting with the ambassador, and all that information is being sent out, and we really look forward to having you there. But Mr. Ambassador, if you give us, even as we come in to a close of this interview, what's your vision for Israeli and Caribbean relationships going forward? What can we look to happen in the next 1 year, and what are your expectations?
Let me, if I may, focus on the Bahamas, our relationship with the Bahamas,
Yes.
perhaps as a good example of what has been happening in the last year or so. Um, when I came into office 2 years ago, I looked at our relationship and saw that it was punctuated by occasional events, meetings, exchanges, linked usually to some particular developments, either in the multilateral arena or to events taking place in the Middle East. And I said to myself, I think that what we need is a more structured dialogue, a bilateral dialogue, an encompassing dialogue, taking into account all the different areas in which we would like to cooperate. For example, we started off with humanitarian assistance after Hurricane Dorian hit two of the islands of the Bahamas. We sporadically touched upon commercial and economic issues. We mentioned just a few minutes ago the thematics of agriculture. And I said we should put all of that into a structured dialogue, and each side should express its expectations and where things could improve. And with the blessing of the foreign minister of the Bahamas, we had such a dialogue a few months ago. And now we have a more overarching view of what the necessities are, what the needs are, and what the expectations are. And really, the feeling is that we are enhancing our relations. The two foreign ministers are scheduled to have a call very soon. And I had very high hopes, and I was planning a visit to the Bahamas, but now, since the Bahamas authorities call for elections, I guess we'll have to postpone it a bit. But,
I understand.
yeah, but the dynamics were really very positive, and we were looking also at a first ever conversation between both prime ministers. I mean, it seems as it should have been something trivial, but apparently it never took place. So I think that might be a good model to copy in our relationship both with CARICOM, but also with the different members, different Caribbean states.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for coming to the Leadership Axe Head show and really sharing on Israel's vision, Israel's goals for the Caribbean. And I speak as the CEO and head of Caribbean Israel Leadership Coalition. We really look forward to our partnership together, and we believe that Israel and the Caribbean can build on the relationships, and that would be mutually beneficial and would also bring significant economic and social development to the region. So I wish to thank you for your passion and your focus, and I look forward to working with you and with your team in the development of your relationships in the Caribbean with CARICOM and definitely within the Bahamas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. It was a pleasure. Thank you for your commitment. And I'm looking forward to the event, the next event we have planned. So thank you all. Thank you to your viewers. Bye-bye. All the best.
Okay, bye-bye. And goodbye from the Leadership Edge Show. See you next week.